man, I don't want to rush you, but can you hurry this video up? Listen, I don't like talking about losses either, but you want me to rush? What's this? Tampa's on the power play right now, and I don't want to miss it. The game's not even on! Leafs took another one. I don't know what to tell you. They're out of control. Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little ridiculous. Good boy. Play all the hits! Left Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me finish. How am I supposed to go to bed after watching that? I'm quite hyped. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. All right, so Leafs in 4 is off the board. Leafs lose 5-3 to the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 2. The series is now 1 game apiece. A bizarre game, a really bizarre game, and one that I took my time after the game finished to think about. Time that made me feel better and more mad. 2 feelings at the same time, and they're not the same. And that's essentially the Toronto Maple Leafs experience. Okay, first I read, then rant time. Have you heard of Sports Interaction? Also, can you do over-under penalties on Sports Interaction? Is that allowed? Would have done well if you took the over in this one. Sports Interaction is Canada's sportsbook. Before the game, live and play, or how your favorite player is going to perform. Sports Interaction has been doing it right in Canada since 1997. And Sports Interaction makes it easy to play, deposit, and cash out. What's the link? sportsinteraction.com/STP. I know that because Adam Wilde made me tattoo it on my body. I won't say where. As always, 19 years of age or older, and please play responsibly. So let's talk about it. What happened last game? Well, the Leafs shocked the hockey world by beating the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-0 in Game 1. That might sound like hyperbole, but who had the Toronto Maple Leafs beating the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-0 in Game 1? The most optimistic Leaf fan you know did not predict that. No one in your life, not your uncle who thinks every year is the year, not your aunt who has the life-size Doug Gilmore Got Milk poster, like in the bathroom in front of the toilet so you gotta stare at it. Not even that guy you know who has a Leafs tattoo on his tuchus and thought it was appropriate to show you, and you're like, Frank, we're in the office. And I always have my phone up, like I always have the box score up when I do these videos. I like to have information as much as possible. I look at the box score. The first goal from Victor Hedman in the first period, 19:57 in. Dude, the Leafs outshot Tampa 13-9 in the first period. They looked like the better team for all but 4 minutes of it, maybe? And by the time it was 5-1, it looked like the difference between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning was a chasm when really it was just the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the battle of attention to detail. And it's amazing because it didn't start that way. Less than 6 minutes in, a too many men on the ice call. Oh, the Leafs, they get... It was the other team? You know how rare it is that the other team takes a too many men on the ice call against the Leafs? How many of you heard too many men and you thought it was going against Toronto even though you saw 6 white jerseys? In part because it's what you're used to, and in part because they looked the same. They looked the same! How is Tampa ever allowed to do those jerseys? Leafs can't capitalize. Okay, well, you're not going to score on every power play. A few minutes later, Patrick Maroon shoves Timothy Liljegren right into Jack Campbell. Hey, genius! You can't do that, and the ref's gonna call it every time Leafs go back to the power play. Leafs, again, they get their chances, but they don't score. It's okay. You're not going to score on every power play, but that's 2 penalties already that Tampa took that were dumb, avoidable, and unnecessary. Too many men on the ice call, which is you being passively bad, and then knocking a player into the goalie on purpose, which is being actively bad. But remember what I said? The Leafs were probably the better team for like 15-16 minutes of the first period. Giordano takes a hold on Hagel, and the Leafs got to start watching for Hagel because he's drawn a few now. Luckily, the Leafs kill it off, but almost exactly 4 minutes later, Kerfoot takes a hold on Hagel. Look who it is. There's 45 seconds to go in the period. Can we take a look at this? I was mad that Kerfoot even looked at the ref. This is a penalty, dude. It's a penalty. You can't do it. And I was on the stream and it never got to this point, but I was like, all right, okay. Well, so the Leafs only have to kill 45 seconds, which I regret saying. And there is something to the idea that a penalty getting split between periods, it's maybe easier to kill because it gets split up. Yeah, it does get split up, but there's also a higher likelihood that you're going to face the team's top unit the whole time. Because they get a 45-second power play, let's pretend they don't score, they get a full intermission to recover, and then they go back out there for the remaining minute 15. Also, Just don't end the period with a bad penalty. Also, just don't take a bad penalty at any time ever. And then what happens? A series of unfortunate events. First, the Leafs can't clear. Second, Brody makes a bad bet thinking that the Leafs are going to clear. Puck ends up in front. Brody accidentally pokes it loose to Hedman. Hedman is all alone on Jack Campbell, who he must have had his weight shifted or something because he dives out of the way, essentially. But it's hard to put that one on him because he's so alone. And Victor Hedman scores the Lightning's first goal of the series with mere seconds to go in the frame. And they feel like $1,000,000 heading in to first intermission. Think about the difference. Think about the psychological difference heading into first intermission if Tampa doesn't score there. Forget that the game is tied. Forget that it's 0-0. They haven't scored in 4 periods now. When was the last time the Tampa Bay Lightning went 4 consecutive periods in the playoffs without scoring a goal? I don't think it happens very often, and I'm not gonna bother to look it up. But I bet it's not very often. Instead, they get to feel amazing. What happens at the beginning of the second? They look amazing! 2-on-1, it gets broken up by Austin Matthews. Okay, thank goodness. And then it goes the other way. And guess what? A pass from here led to a Corey Perry breakaway. Would you look at that? The guy who got a goal in the dying seconds, who probably feels better than anyone else, sends a missile of a pass to Corey Perry for a breakaway. He scores on Jack Campbell, and a 1-goal game. It's a 1-goal game, and that's probably Sheldon Keefe's whole thing in that intermission is, guys, we got to stop taking penalties. It's a 1-goal game. Guess what? Less than 2.5 minutes in, that is shot. It is a 2-goal game against a team with a goalie that is 14-0 in his last 14 games following losses. And Tampa continued to look great after that, and that is where the game could have got away from the Leafs. But then a huge shift from the top line and a huge physical presence from Austin Matthews. Ryan McDonagh has the puck in the corner. Whoom! Oh, I love when Matthews realizes how big he is. He separates McDonagh from the puck. Marner gets a hold of it, sends it over to Bunting. The kid scores his first National Hockey League Stanley Cup playoff goal. Give it to me, Scotiabank Arena. And there's confetti and smoke. Everyone's waving their towel, going nuts for that goal song that everyone says they hate, but every time it goes off, they're like, "Gonna make my dreams come true." Nearly immediately after Wayne Simmonds' penalty, Lightning go back to the power play. Cool. Now, some people didn't like this penalty. Some people called this soft. It's the playoffs, etc. I understand that because as Leaf fans, and I'm sure lots of fans can attest to this, it's not just Leaf fans, that doesn't get called in the playoffs all the time. But can we land on this? It probably should. Like, Wayne Simmonds just runs over Bellemare after the whistle, and Bellemare, he didn't have the puck, and it was after the whistle. What do you want? And there were some complaints about the consistency of the officiating in this game. I thought the Leafs deserved every penalty they got. The only complaint I would have is that the Lightning should have maybe got 1 or 2 more. Like, for example, McDonagh shoving Mikheyev onto the net, nearly stopping play by virtue of the net coming off. Like, what would have happened if they had to stop play for the net coming off here? That was my only complaint, really. But in terms of consistency, this call was consistent. The refs showed that they weren't going to tolerate nonsense after the whistle and or around the goalie. Look at the Patrick Maroon penalty. That should have been a penalty, shouldn't it have? Absolutely. So what's Wayne Simmonds doing messing with Bellemare there? Now the Lightning get another power play opportunity. The Leafs just brought it within 1 and they give them life. So many Lightning players had a bad game in game 1 and giving them power play opportunities allowed them to get in the series. Nikita Kucherov, come on down. Campbell stopped him over and over and over again. He seemed to have his number. Kucherov just gets Campbell to come off the post a little bit, snipes it. And now that building that had the roof not completely coming off, but like you could feel a gust, was silent. There were 2 moments in the first half of the second that seemed to define the rest of the game. One was Liljegren getting robbed by Vasilevsky. That could have, I think, tied the game 1-1. That was early in the second, I think. And then this penalty, even if the goal doesn't go in, even if they kill it off, what are you doing? What are you doing? They've already scored a power play goal against you. What are you doing? All right, it's time to get back in the game. Nope. Labushkin with a clear penalty on point. And again, I'll get back to, I would have maybe liked to see the Lightning called for one or two more things, but the penalties that the Leafs took, they're penalties. His stick was in his hands. He lost grip of his stick and he can't control the puck. Anytime it affects possession, they are going to call it. That was the precedent that they set in game 1. That was the precedent that they set earlier in the game you're literally playing. And the Leafs just refused to pick up on the signs. They failed to capitalize on their own power play before the end of the second. But, okay, all right. It's still, you're only 2 down in the third. Yes, it's Vasilevsky, it's the Lightning, it's a tall task, but you can do it. But a minute and a half into the third, Matthews makes a mistake. It's not an egregious mistake, but it's a mistake. He has a pretty good opportunity to score early in the period that would have got the Leafs on the board, that would have got the building rocking, it would have brought him within 1, it would have been a lot of great things all at once. But he's got the puck, he's at the point, he fires a shot, it hits Nick Paul in the legs, but Nick Paul doesn't know where it is, he's looking around. Matthews tries to play the percentages, and he's like, this is a puck I can keep alive. I can keep this alive in the Tampa Bay zone. This is not only a good defensive play, because it'll keep it out of our zone, it'll keep it in theirs, and we can maybe score. Which we need to do, we need to sort of cheat for offense on account of we're down by 2. Well, he loses the bet. Paul and the Lightning are able to turn it around. It's a 3-on-2. Liljegren's back there with Nylander directing traffic, actually doing the right things because he gets Nylander 1-on-1 with Ball. The problem is Liljegren has to contend with both Brandon Hagel and Nikita Kucherov. Because of that, he's not able to do an adequate enough job with Hagel. Hagel gets a rebound. Oh man. Campbell made such a good save! Inches! Ah! And 90 seconds in, 4-1. So okay, 4-1 in the third against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's bordering on impossible, but it's not impossible. It's unlikely. But you need to score 5. You can score 5. You know how I know it? You did it 2 days ago! So what does Wayne Simmonds do? After the whistle, this dude cross-checks Corey Perry. Now, that would be a penalty in normal circumstances. It would also be conflicting for me because I don't mind seeing Corey Perry hit to the ice. Corey Perry is not nice. That is why. He kind of makes his living doing that to other people, so it's funny when it happens to him. But you know what's not funny is when you cross-check him and he falls onto Jack Campbell because you hit him into Jack Campbell! Wayne Simmonds, big Eric Shalgren guy? What the heck? That wasn't smart because it drew another Tampa power play, and it could have took the starting goalie for the Leafs out of the entire series. Braden Point, another guy who was completely taken out of game 1. Come on down. Feel good about yourself. There's a power play goal for you. 5-1, the game is over. It's cooked. It's done. Oh, and I forgot to rant about William Nylander taking it. Like he tripped a player with his foot after it was 4-1. Dude, they were just super not smart tonight. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit before we talk about how the Leafs showed some life at the end of the game. After the game, Simmonds said, we have to do a better job, myself included, of being disciplined. Some people had a problem with that quote, like, you cost the team the game. No, he's right. The entire team was brutal in this department. But I'm trying to decide if I'm being dramatic by saying that performance in game 2 should cost Wayne Simmonds his spot in the lineup for game 3. Because remember, game 3, unless there's an injury that we don't know about, Michael Bunting is going to be there. Kyle Clifford will be back from suspension because he got suspended. So what do? You could go Clifford to keep some meat back there. Blackwell and Spezza. I wouldn't mind that. I think it's ridiculous if Spezza doesn't get into one of the first 4 games, don't you? Remember, the Leafs are going on the road now. They're going to be in Tampa. I don't know if the Leafs fully trust Spezza defensively. I don't know if Keefe does, but also face-offs. Also, he's a fresh body, and also the bar is don't take 2 penalties at key junctures in the game! And the irony is not lost on me at all that Simmonds could be coming out of the lineup for a dude who is coming off a suspension because he took a 5-minute major in game 1 that could have cost the Leafs game 1 that could have had them down 2-0 in the series, losing both games at home. Listen, you can't take penalties. There are some penalties where, it is what it is. There are some penalties where it's almost like you take a sacrificial penalty in order to prevent a goal. You can't take silly penalties. You especially can't take silly penalties on the 4th line in a depth role, and you especially can't take silly penalties that cost the team in a depth role on the 4th line as a veteran who should know better. Who definitely knows better. And Simmonds is a fan favorite, but this is a hard truth. And listen, Jason Spezza has not been a saint in this department either. He has taken too many penalties for a guy who plays the minutes he does. This is not exclusively a Wayne Simmonds issue. This is not exclusively a 4th line issue, but the Leafs have got to stay out of the box, and part of that is the fourth line playing smart hockey. Like, literally everything Wayne Simmonds did between the actual whistles of play was fine. Dude, Sheldon Keefe intentionally drew attention to the post-whistle scrum shenanigans stuff so that everyone would have their eyes on it, and then you do it yourself! That's like me at the podcast jumping up and down and screaming before stealing the last donut and then being mad I got caught. Oh man, the reason I'm going off on this so hard is what followed. Marner, who gets a bit of a bounce. The Leafs get a bit of a bounce here. Marner kind of fans on this shot, but it beats Vasilevsky and it goes in. Muzzin gets an assist. Matthews gets his third assist already. Oh, we need the big boys to show up. The big boys to show up. The big line showed up in a big way. But now it's the rest of the team that's not pulling their weight. Can the Leafs do this? That's one. And then Bunting takes a penalty on Cernak. And I thought that was game right there. And then shorthanded, TJ Brodie gets a breakaway. And he's with Victor Hedman. And Victor Hedman's really fast. And he thinks he's going to get caught. So he spins and gives it to Alexander Kerfoot, who scores. And now the Leafs are within 2. Oh no, you're going to make me believe. And I did. I did believe. Because there were over 4 minutes to go. At home, the Leafs are juiced. They're a great team. They know how to climb out of the grave with their offense. And here they are within goalie pulling territory. And oh my God, Tampa took a penalty too. This is where they flipped the script. Are the Leafs really about to erase a 5-1 deficit on the Tampa Bay Lightning? Are you really crazy enough to believe that? First of all, have you ever been to my YouTube channel before? Yes, I absolutely am just crazy enough. But also, why watch sports if not to witness the unexpected? The truly spectacular. Something special. Maybe this is one of those moments. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's right in front of us, and we're all going to be gifted with the ability to witness the vision manifesting itself. But it was not to be. Dude, Vasilevsky, in games following a loss in the playoffs, he's now 15-0 in his last 15 games following a loss in the playoffs, with 5 shutouts, and heading into this game, a save percentage over .950. The Leafs getting 3 goals in this game and losing it because they allowed 3 power play goals is a waste. It is taking a gift from the hockey gods, crumpling it up and throwing it in the ocean. But you know what? The Leafs didn't need to lose that game. They didn't need to spend as much time on the penalty kill as they did. And yet you got to just scrap it and move on. I'm not going to talk about how they should be up 2-0 and how they threw away a gift from the hockey gods. You got to do what Tampa did after game 1. You know what? We didn't play very good. We allowed them to look very good. We lost. Next game will be better. A lot of people took John Cooper's comments as insult to the Leafs. I didn't take him that way at all. That's just a coach who has seen a lot of hockey, who knows how good his team is. And if Sheldon Keefe is equal to the task or better, that's how he's going to have the team prepared for game 3. Because they cannot spend that much time in the box. Because 5-on-5, they might just be the better team. Dude, they've scored a shorthanded goal in each game. While that's awesome, how long you think that's going to last? Stay out of the box. That's it. Move on. Question. I got a lot of stuff that look like this, and maybe I'll have to spend some time on it. I hope you'll go in on John Tavares like you all went in on Willie on the pod, instead of giving him every excuse under the sun. The guy has more slumps than anyone else, and he's just a non-factor. He's an $11 million captain. Okay, I'm with you, and I'm not singling you out for this, but a lot of people do this. Just because you criticize William Nylander doesn't mean, all right, now do this one. What is that? Yeah, I think Willie's an elite talent, and he didn't try very hard in this game, and I feel like he should the next time. And then the next game comes around and someone else doesn't look good, and people are like, oh, where's your rate on that guy? Give me a sec. Jeez. Here's the thing, and let's use William Nylander as a comparable. Nylander had a few games this year where, he made bad plays, right? Plays that were easy to highlight as, this is bad, don't do this, it's bad. John Tavares in this game didn't provide that because he didn't provide anything. He was invisible. Every time I saw him, I was reminded he was in the game. Leave the salary out of it. I don't care about the salary, okay? The salary doesn't matter in the playoffs right now. He's the captain of the team, though. He's still a star on this team, though. Like, in the regular season, he's about a point a game player, though. Now, it definitely hurts him that the Leafs spent so much time on the penalty kill because he is not a part of the penalty kill. But you know what? Neither is Bunting. Neither is Matthews. And those guys found a way. By the way, Marner being involved in all of that just shows how much he's improved. He's unreal. But then Tavares' line gets on the ice. Oof. Nothing. I saw some people like, oh, why don't you put Willie with Tavares? Dude, Tavares cannot be at babysitter stage here. We cannot be wrecking a perfectly great, perfectly good third line because Tavares can't get it done. Keefe even threw Kasha up there for a bunch of shifts, I noticed, as the game went on. I think that's a good idea. But John Tavares has got to be able to do anything. Like, it's difficult to come up with feedback. It's difficult to say, hey, do anything. Like Wayne Simmonds, Lyubushkin, like any of the guys who took silly penalties in this game, it's so easy to be like, hey, see that? Clean it up. Don't do it next game. I believe in you that you won't do it again. That's easy. You give them a pretty clear assignment. It's much harder to be like, hey, what if I noticed you existed? Tavares was a non-factor in this game, and I don't know if the Leafs can win if that continues. Every champion has more than one leader. Someone's got to talk to him. That was brutal. That was pretty heavy, so I'll leave you with some words of encouragement. Call me crazy, but I'm not worried. They've outscored them 8-5 so far. Big boys are performing at both ends. They get the penalties under control, they're fine. Bets in for Simmonds, game 3, Clifford back. I don't know, man. They just feel different this year. You're right. They do feel different this year. And they'll be back and better. They want to be champions. They don't have a choice. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe. If you really liked it, tell all your friends. Game 3, Friday.